Good afternoon. It's been a fun ride, but the World Cup run here in Toronto has come to an end.
Cleanup is already underway following last night's showdown between Croatia and Portugal.
A goalkeeper who has excelled from penalties in Livakovic. Ronaldo. 1-1 in Toronto.
Cristiano Ronaldo scored his first ever goal in the World Cup knockout rounds. His penalty tied the game at 1, but there would be a controversial finish to the match.
5 in the middle. Here's the ball in. And it falls to the back. And it's gone into the net. It's an equaliser. It's surely the last kick of the game.
Croatia appeared to tie the game at 2 in the final seconds of stoppage time. However, the goal was ruled offside, giving Portugal a 2-1 victory. They will now advance to the tournament's round of 16.
The Portuguese Football Association showing video of Ronaldo and other players waving to fans from the balcony of the Delta Hotel where the team was staying. A large crowd gathered in the street following the match to show their support for the team.
And fans cheering on Team Portugal as their bus departed from that hotel this morning. The team is now heading to Dallas to take on Spain.
And now Toronto Stadium is being changed back into BMO Field, with crews out early this morning removing FIFA branding from the facility. It
was the smallest of the 16 venues used during the tournament, but locals say the World Cup has had a big impact. CTV Siobhan Morris has been following the wrap-up of the World Cup here in Toronto, and she joins us live now with more details. Siobhan.
Well, Michelle, we're in Liberty Village, this area that's been so central to the World Cup story here in Toronto. Fans have had to pass through here to get to Toronto Stadium. A lot of fans have chosen this area to come and cheer. I'm sensing a little sleepiness here this morning. Extra big coffees as people are out walking their dogs or were headed out to work. The stadium behind me, as you mentioned, is already being disassembled. That process really started almost as soon as the final delayed whistle was sounded at last night's game. There was a lot of anxiety here in Liberty Village and really much of Toronto about what these 6 games in Toronto would mean. There was deep worry about security risks, possibilities of really bad traffic, making it impossible to get anywhere. Ultimately, though, we're hearing from Torontonians today that they're happy with the experience. Here's more of what we heard from them and from the mayor.
Portugal and Croatia, 2 countries with deep roots in the city. The energy was incredible. It was joyous, it was fun, and I can see a lot of young people dreaming one day to be Ronaldo or Modric. And what a way to close out our final game at Toronto Stadium. I was all across the city and ended the night on the streets of Little Portugal. And whoa, what a celebration.
It's been great. I live down here right by the Rogers Center, and just being able to see the increase in traffic, but also it's not been as bad as everybody said. You know, people said that, oh, the traffic's going to get so bad, and sure, give or take some game days, it is pretty bad. But it's been good to see. Everything's been policed really well. You see great police presence here to take care of all the fans, and even on game days, the parades heading down, everything's been really well taken care of by the city, and it's been a lot of fun.
I think Toronto did incredibly well. I mean, it's been all over social media, the security, the actual fans. We're Portuguese, so it was just incredible to see a lot of people fly in from all over the States and Europe and Portugal to celebrate, and it was very well handled.
The mayor credits the success of these last few weeks to a lot of planning and strategizing and collaboration from everybody from traffic services to police and firefighters that we saw yesterday helping cool down crowds going into Toronto Stadium with big fire hoses. Now, Toronto's hosting duties are done, but the Fan Fest is still active, and that will be the case on selected dates right until the World Cup final in mid-July. Reporting live from Liberty Village, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Well, still to come, Canadians with low to modest incomes will receive the first quarterly payment today as Ottawa launches a new financial assistance initiative. We'll have those details a little later in the newscast.
Police have made an arrest in connection with an alleged hate-motivated assault yesterday. Police say the victim was attacked with a metal pole. They allege it happened near Adelaide and Spadina. The victim suffered minor head injuries. The accused, 44-year-old Matthew Basuk, allegedly yelled anti-Sikh slurs at the time. He's been charged with assault.
A woman has been charged in connection with a violent road rage incident in Oshawa. Police say 53-year-old Arlene Sophia Moore got into an altercation with a 20-year-old man and a 19-year-old woman over a parking spot near Lakeview Park Avenue and Simcoe Street South on Canada Day. She allegedly brandished a knife, and the victims responded with bear spray. Police say Moore stabbed the 19-year-old woman multiple times before running away. She was located a short time later, taken into custody. She's charged with 2 counts of assault with a weapon, as well as aggravated assault. The victim suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Toronto's 2 public school boards, which are both under provincial supervision, have approved their budgets with projected multi-million-dollar deficits. The TDSB says the 2026-27 deficit is projected at $59.5 million, down $15 million from its initial estimate. Measures taken by the provincial supervisor have led to nearly $60 million in savings. Those measures include eliminating hundreds of teaching and central staff positions, as well as cutting programs like outdoor education. Toronto's Catholic Board is projecting a deficit of $39.5 million, down from earlier estimates of just over $65 million. Both boards are expecting enrollment to decrease in the 2026-2027 school year.
Whether you're a recent visitor, arrival, or longtime resident, Toronto's culinary scene is always evolving. Today marks the return of an annual tradition aimed at showcasing the city's restaurants. Summerlicious is now back from today through to July 19th. Throughout the next few weeks, participating restaurants citywide will be offering special fixed-price menus. They'll range from $20 to $55 for lunches and $25 to $75 for dinners. More than 240 restaurants are taking part, including 30 newcomers. Now, you can check out a full list of locations on the city's website.
I encourage everyone to make a reservation. Bring your friends, bring your family, and help us show our support for Toronto's incredible restaurant community. Together, we can taste the world in a city, something that makes Toronto so special, and support local businesses and jobs and make this Summerlicious season a terrific success.
The councillor and the mayor took part in the launch event at P Nong Thai in North York. Summerlicious and Winterlicious started in 2003 to promote local restaurants during slower times. Since then, the initiative has generated more than $350 million in economic activity.
Summer festival season is in full swing with the Taste of Lawrence set to begin. The festival will shut down Lawrence Avenue between Warden and Birchmount for the weekend. This event, billed as Scarborough's largest street party, features music, food, and a variety of vendors. This year, there will be a soccer hub hosting watch parties and soccer-related activities. The event runs today from 6 p.m. to 11, tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m.
This year is amazing. In our Chinese culture, we call it double happiness, which is World Cup and Taste of Lawrence.
Right.
And this year, the Taste of Lawrence is 22nd edition, which is started 2004 with our councillor and hosted by our West Qua BIA. And this year, because the World Cup, so excited, we have a major food all together.
Meanwhile, the Taste of the Middle East is set to take over Nathan Phillips Square this weekend. The festival features music, art, dancing, and lots of food. World Cup viewing parties will also be taking place during the event.
We're expecting like thousands of people because the last Egypt game, it was like over 5,000 people at Celebration Square. Oh, wow. So we want you all to come down, Australians and Arabs and Egyptians. So that's really exciting. So, but also tomorrow. Tomorrow is like 1 p.m. So we're doing a watch party and it's Canada and Morocco. So we're expecting over 10,000 people for that. So come watch the games, enjoy.
And here's a live look at Nathan Phillips Square. The Taste of the Middle East is starting earlier this year at 2 p.m. instead of 6 for the Egypt-Australia match. It runs until 11 tonight from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. tomorrow and 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday. And Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions and this heat wave finally coming to an end.
We're getting there, right? Yesterday was hot. I think Canada Day really was like the hottest one of the week. If you were outside, it was challenging to breathe, even if you don't have any sort of respiratory issues. As we made our way through yesterday, still very hot. Still hot today, but we will see some relief as we head in towards at least the end of our weekend. Some spotty showers still kind of making their way through as we head throughout the afternoon, thanks to all that heat and humidity. Nothing super organized, no big systems, but we could see a few bursts of showers. If you're heading to any outdoor watch parties, keep that in mind. Still blanketed by heat warnings and some severe thunderstorm watches in and around the GTA. If you are spending time outside going to any of these watch parties, hydration, breaks in the shade, making sure that you are checking in on other people. Temperatures around southern Ontario still very warm as we head into this midpoint of our day. Through the islands and Pearson, the temperature difference wild. So if you want to be a little cooler, head towards the waterfront or through the islands. Heading into the afternoon, back into the 30s, feeling into the 40s. Coming up, your full forecast right now. Back over to Nathan.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
Peel police have revealed the results of a major retail theft bust.
More than $1 million in stolen goods have been recovered as a result of this investigation. CP24's Steve Ryan joins us live now from Square One in Mississauga with the details. Steve.
Michelle and Nathan, some very good police work by Peel Regional Police, their investigative unit. Bear is the name of the squad, break and enter, auto thefts, and retail thefts. As a result of this intelligence-led approach, they put this squad together last September, and it came to pay off, that's for sure. Police allege now that back on April the 30th, one man broke into a high-end retail store here at the Square One at 1 o'clock in the morning and stole upwards of $1 million in stolen property. With some good old-fashioned police work, we are told, Peel Police identified who this suspect was, now an accused, and they were able to get back almost $800,000 of that stolen property. So some very good police work, and we heard the results here today at this press conference out at Square One. Here's more from Peel Police, who spoke just a short time ago.
Investigators identified the suspect as Amir Nikbat. Following his identification, the Bear investigators conducted surveillance, and they developed an operational plan and resulted in the suspect being safely arrested without incident. As part of the investigation, officers executed the criminal code search warrant at the suspect's residence. The results, they were significant. Investigators recovered nearly $1 million worth of jewelry, lottery tickets, and other property.
We've all seen the videos circulating online. Individuals walking into liquor stores, retail stores, jewelry stores, breaking cabinets, taking things off the shelves, and walking out as though there's no consequences. This is not a trend. This is not something that's done casually. This is theft. And it has real impacts on our businesses, our employees, and the communities we serve.
Peel Regional Police say that they have 10,000 retail theft occurrences per year, and this man now is accused of a break and enter. He's accused of wearing a disguise with intent to commit an indictable offense, possession over $5,000. That's standard for any property over $5,000 or under $5,000. This is obviously over $5,000, and 2 counts of breach of probation. Send it back to the desk.
CP24, Steve Ryan. Appreciate it. Well, as we've discussed, the World Cup has wrapped here in Toronto. It's certainly not over. Canada-Morocco game, that's tomorrow, and the tournament continues, but there are no more games in Toronto, although the impact of the tournament is still being felt. CTV's Renee Rogers joins us live now to talk about Toronto serving as a host city. All the games are in the bag. We can look back. What can you tell us about the tournament stay in Toronto? What are the takeaways at this stage?
Hi, Michelle. Well, really, for the past few weeks, the city has come alive with these 6 matches being hosted in Toronto, attracting fans from across the city, across the country, and really across the world. So before the tournament, the number of visitors was projected to be at around 300,000 people, and we have seen them. We've seen them braving at times extreme heat, rain, and the risk of thunderstorms filling the streets in marches to Toronto Toronto Stadium, packing into FanFest, nearby bars and restaurants, as well as numerous watch parties to help cheer on their favorite teams. And let's just look back for a minute to acknowledge a couple of the history-making World Cup moments that took place in this city, beginning on June 12th, when Team Canada had its first ever FIFA World Cup game on home soil against Bosnia-Herzegovina, scoring its first ever point in the tournament's history in that game. And Toronto's stint as host city, of course, culminated last night in what is being called one of the World Cup's best matches so far. Of course, it featured soccer legend and arguably one of the sport's greatest players to ever do it, Cristiano Ronaldo, just the second time he has ever played in the city. And Ronaldo scoring a goal, helping Portugal beat Croatia 2-1 in a game that will go down in history as an instant World Cup classic. And Michelle, just a game for the ages there.
Couldn't agree with you more. Nathan and I were down there, and wow, the highs and lows, the moments, it was something else, and it was really amazing to see the crowd, people from all over the world. Let's talk about the numbers. They're still coming in, and I really don't think we're going to get the full impact right away. But what do we know so far, economically speaking, about the impact on Toronto?
Well, that's kind of where all eyes are now going with this final of 6 games now having been played. And really, that's the big question, Michelle, because you might remember Toronto had been pointing to the economic benefits of hosting this tournament as sort of a justification for that $380 million price tag to host the games. Toronto City staff report early last year projected close to $1 billion in positive economic growth. But we are getting some new data that's painting a little bit of a different picture. The data surrounds hotels and restaurants. And so here's the first one. According to Moneris, despite the crowds at those bars and restaurants, total spending in the first 2 weeks of the tournament was just up about 3% at these different bars and restaurants compared to the same period last year. And then when it comes to hotel occupancy for the first full week of the World Cup, that was actually down 16%, believe it or not, from 88% a year ago to 72%, according to new numbers from the Greater Toronto Hotel Association. Now, of course, that does not tell the whole story, because we know some of those hotel stays were diverted to the short-term rental market. However, according to economists, they are expecting really a modest lift to the GDP at best from this tournament. But, you know, if you ask fans whether they think it's worth it, I think you would get a resounding yes by the way that these games have really brought people together in this city.
And the eyeballs on our city for that big match yesterday. Renee Rogers in the CTV National Newsroom, thank you.
You're welcome.
And sticking with the World Cup, the final 3 round of 32 matches are set for today. Australia faces Egypt at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. The Aussies have reached the knockout round twice, but lost both times. This is Egypt's 4th World Cup appearance and first ever appearance in the round of 32. The game in Dallas can be seen on TSN.
Lionel Messi resumes his chase of the Golden Boot when Argentina takes on Capo Verde at 6 p.m. our time. The Argentines are the heavy favorites here, but insist they're not taking their opponent lightly. Capo Verde is the smallest nation by population to ever reach the knockout phase. It drew all 3 of its group matches. This game can be seen on TSN.
And Colombia and Ghana square off at 9:30 to decide which side moves on. The Colombians have rolled through the group stage, beating Uzbekistan and Congo and battling Portugal to a scoreless draw. Ghana may have surprised some soccer fans, but they have a history of producing great players. The Black Stars look to reach the round of 16 for the first time since 2010.
Canada kicks off the round of 16 tomorrow. Its match against Morocco is at 1 o'clock. It will be our toughest test yet at this World Cup. The Moroccans entering the tournament sitting 7th in FIFA's rankings, while Canada was number 30. TSN, CTV and Crave will be broadcasting the game live. The winner will meet either Paraguay or France in a quarterfinal matchup in Boston. That's on July 9th.
Canadians with low to modest incomes will receive the first quarterly payment of a new financial assistance initiative today, which replaces the GST-HST credit. Ottawa is making the first regular payment of the Canada Groceries and Essentials Benefit, or CGEB. The amount people will receive depends on how many children they may have, as well as their marital status. Ottawa says this assistance, which amounts to 25% more than people received under the previous program, will provide relief to Canadians struggling with expenses. The future of Alberta's oil and gas industry has become a central issue in the province's separation debate.
Those on both sides of the divide agree the sector has faced challenges, but they remain split on whether leaving Canada is the answer. CTV's Kathy Lee reports.
At a rodeo in the southern town of Raymond, Kim Stevens wears his support for Alberta separation proudly.
I get lots of thumbs up. I get a few people, but lots of support.
Among the reasons Stevens supports separation, he says federal policies have hurt the province's oil and gas industry.
We have anti-oil regulations and legislation that has curtailed the growth of the oil industry.
Oil and gas has become one of the biggest issues fueling Alberta's separation debate. The issue in the spotlight after Premier Danielle Smith and the federal government reached an agreement that could pave the way for a new bitumen pipeline to the west coast, provided a major carbon capture network moves ahead. In the town of High River, John Mann, a 34-year Army veteran, says he acknowledges some of the Separatists' energy grievances.
The first Trudeau and some of the things that he did with the National Energy Project, I agree with some of the things that they're saying. But when it comes to separation, the line is drawn in the sand.
And Mann believes there are signs the relationship with Ottawa is improving.
The Prime Minister just opened the door again for the pipeline. Well, perfect. Now we're moving in the right direction.
But for Stevens, a pipeline alone doesn't address other concerns.
There still is regulations on no more tankers on the west coast.
And as Alberta moves closer to a referendum to stay in Canada or start the process to hold a binding referendum to leave, the divide between both sides shows few signs of narrowing. Kathy Lee, CTV News.
The Alto high-speed rail project promises to connect Toronto with Quebec City. However, new data from NANO's research commissioned by CTV News indicates Canadians are split on whether it should be a government priority. CTV's Jeremy Sharon joins us live from Ottawa with more on the numbers. So, Jeremy, when you look at the numbers, are people unsure, or are these hard lines like yes and no?
Nathan, it seems pretty clear. People are on one side or the other of this argument, whether or not this should be a priority for the government. This was a massive infrastructure project, high-speed rail from Quebec City to Toronto. Alto, the company that is looking to move forward with the project, says it could cut commute times in half. It is a multi-billion-dollar project. But as you've touched on here, Canadians are really split on it, either in one camp or the other here. Polled by NANO's research on behalf of CTV News, when Canadians were asked, those who responded to this survey, 38% said they believe strongly that this should be a high priority for the federal government when it comes to moving ahead with this project, while 38% also said they believe this should be a low priority. So pretty squarely divided here are Canadians on whether or not this is something the government should be prioritizing. And when you start to look at the breakdown of provinces, where the support is coming from, there's no surprise here. The numbers kind of really make sense in this area. We're talking about a rail project that would impact, mostly two provinces, Ontario and Quebec, of course. Quebec has the highest level of support when it comes to people believing this should be a priority for the government at 48.9 or 48.4% rather. And the lowest support, again, no surprise here, is in the prairies at 21.4%. Of course, this is a railway project, a high-speed rail project that would have virtually no impact in the prairies, of course, unless people are visiting and using it when they're here. So those numbers not necessarily surprising, but interesting here, Nathan, to see the story that this is painting, which is that there really is a pretty strong divide here on whether or not people are for or against this high-speed rail project that would take years and would cost billions of dollars.
And Jeremy, some are calling for better transparency from Alto for its use of land on the proposed route. What are the concerns?
Yeah, when it comes to opposition in Quebec and Ontario, because there is, opposition, despite that being those being the two provinces where there is the most support, in the rural parts of both provinces, along the potential path of this railway project, there is opposition due to impact on agricultural lands, due to impact on First Nations who are opposed to this, and even just people's homes. There are communities where homes are directly in potential paths for this rail system. That means people perhaps having to move out of their homes for this and having to relocate. And so those are concerns people would like to bring up. And what we've seen is some municipalities try and raise those concerns. They want to see more transparency from Alto. Alto last month released a survey. They surveyed communities and First Nations groups on their concerns. But communities would like to see more information, would like to see Alto be a little more transparent and forthcoming with that information, and they want to have input. They want to be able to say whether or not they believe that the proposed paths are good ones or not. Now, again, there is no designated path yet for this railway, just a proposed corridor, but still in the early stages, Nathan, of deciding where this railway could land. Still also in the early stages of the project, very much a possibility that this doesn't end up going ahead. Certainly here in Ottawa, there's opposition. The Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, has said if he were elected Prime Minister, he would cancel this project altogether.
All right, CTV's Jeremy Sharon in Ottawa. Thank you.
Anytime.
NATO leaders are set to say Canada and Europe are assuming greater responsibility for the alliance's defense. A text approved by NATO ambassadors today also says the alliance, including the U.S., will affirm an ironclad commitment to collective defense under Article 5. It means an attack against one is an attack against all. U.S. President Donald Trump is said to be on board with the text that will be formally introduced at a NATO summit in Ankara next week.
It is giddy-up time in Calgary. The Calgary Stampede is launching 10 days of Western-themed festivities, with many Calgarians lining downtown streets early for good spots. Officials say the event brings major economic benefits to Calgary and Alberta, with last year's attendance topping nearly $1.5 million. Olympic medalists Mikhail Kingsbury and Courtney Saroux were the parade marshals.
Another hot day here in the city, across the GTA, and almost across the entire province. So if you have outdoor plans, it's festival season, day party season. We've got things going on all over the city and still some watch parties. Consider maybe hitting up a splash pad if you want to spend some time outside and cool down. We're looking at 32 as we head into the afternoon, feeling like 41 with a fairly moderate southwesterly wind shifting northwesterly later on in the day. You want to enjoy the summer, but you have to do it safely. If you're going to spend time outside, breaks in the shade, hydration are key, along with sun protection. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. We'll take a look at your weekend and what you can expect as we head into the first full week of July. All those details after the break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Friday has arrived, although this has been a weird week with the holiday on Wednesday. We've had the sun, the heat, but yeah, there's relief in sight for those who are just needing it. I don't know. What have you been liking this heat?
I think it's dangerous for me to complain about heat.
Fair.
Because we wait all year for this, so I don't want to be the person saying, oh, I want the perfect 27 degrees.
Yeah.
So if it's going to be anything and a little too hot, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Because we know what we need to do to stay cool.
And we're also not in a place where that heat dome is going to last the entire summer. So it is a really challenging weekend. It can be very dangerous with this type of heat, but it's only for a short amount of time. And then we get into a much more seasonal forecast starting next week. So if you don't like the heat, just wait until Sunday afternoon. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. Now, if you were outside today, yesterday, the day before, a pool, probably a great idea. And the city of Toronto has so many of them around the city. There's some in the GTA to get in, cool off. kind of take that little bit of a reprieve from all the heat, because it has been a lot, especially Wednesday. If you were outside at all on Canada Day, it was one of the warmer days of the week, record-breaking as well. That heat made it challenging to breathe, even if you don't have respiratory issues. Still hot yesterday, still hot today, but we're kind of getting into a bit of a shift. We're still looking at heat warnings blanketing a large portion of southern Ontario. We've got some severe thunderstorm watches there in the yellow. As we have all this heat bubbling up, those pop-up thunderstorms are not out of the question. They can be quite severe, although they are short-lived in nature, but take them very seriously if any alerts pop up in your area. Right around the province, still very warm. We're seeing some relief in areas in northern Ontario, but for the GTA, Toronto specifically, looking at 32. If you're by the water or on the islands, a significant temperature difference, almost 10 degrees. So if you do want relief and you've got time today, you can head over to the islands. As we head in towards our afternoon daytime highs, we're sitting right around 32. 26 is a much more seasonal high, so we're not quite there almost anywhere, with the exception of our friends in Owen Sound and Parry Sound. But those humidex values still in the 40s. So when it comes to spending time outside, I spoke to Toronto Fire yesterday at FanFest. They said a lot of people were facing a lot of challenges when it comes to the heat. It can sneak up on you. It doesn't have to be a brilliantly sunny day for it to be challenging or for you to get a burn. So just be careful. Enjoy your time outside. It's the time of year where we want to be outdoors. Just, you got to do it safely. Into this evening, another warm one, 21, feeling like 26. We're watching for pop-up showers as the system kind of makes its way through. A bit of an occluded front will push its way in, kind of park itself on and off throughout the afternoon. We're not looking at a widespread shower, but again, those pop-up thunderstorms can be fast and very furious. Heading through the afternoon again, we've seen a few pop-up showers in and around the GTA, heavier, more so towards Durham region and east. They're looking at the heavier rain as we head into the afternoon. But if you're doing any watch party activities, there's street festivals, there's concerts, there's so much happening. It is truly the time of the year where Toronto is just elite. It's going to be a nice afternoon and evening if you're in the downtown core. Into the day tomorrow, we're looking at some scattered showers, even the risk of thunderstorms in the morning and into that midpoint of our afternoon. And then it clears out just in time for the Canada game if you're watching anything or doing any watch parties outside. A little cloud cover into your Sunday and another round of showers potentially into the evening. But temperature-wise, it is still well above where we should be for your Friday, for your Saturday. We get in towards Sunday and we get back to where we should be. So if you're looking for relief from the heat, wait till the end of the weekend and then we get there. And then looking ahead to the bulk of next week, with the exception of Thursday, a fairly seasonal and very sunny forecast. Hopefully this helps you plan. Michelle, I'll send things back to you.
It sure does. Thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
Well, the Blue Jays begin their pre-All-Star break road trip in Seattle tonight.
He's hit this one pretty well to the opposite field. It is gone!
The Jays last played Wednesday when they beat the New York Mets 9-3 on Canada Day. Tonight's game in Seattle will be the first time the teams have squared off since last year's American League Championship Series. Dylan C. set to start with first pitch at 10:10 p.m. Eastern Time.
The Argonauts took on the Stampeders in Calgary last night.
Vernon with pressure rolls to his right, pumps, takes off, uses the legs, nobody's looking at him, and Vernon Adams Jr. will score!
It was a big game for Stamps quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. He threw 6 touchdown passes and ran for another score as Calgary walloped Toronto 58-36. The Argos are now 2-2 on the season. They'll be back on the field to play the Blue Bombers in Winnipeg next Friday. In just over 24 hours, Canada will be taking the pitch for the biggest match in the history of men's soccer.
Today, the Canadians are holding their final practice before tomorrow afternoon's game against Morocco. The Canadians know they're going up against an aggressive team and say they will be looking to capitalize on whatever advantages they can find. The players insisting a strong defense will be key against the Atlas Lions. The two nations previously met in the 2022 World Cup when Morocco took a 2-1 decision. The winner of Saturday's game will meet either Paraguay or France in a quarterfinal matchup in Boston, July 9th. And a reminder, you can watch tomorrow's huge match for Canada on TSN, CTV, and Crave starting at 1 o'clock Eastern Time.
You're watching CTV News at noon on this Friday. Stay with us. More news after the break.
The city may have hosted its last FIFA game of the tournament, but there's still fan fest and watch parties and so many other events taking place this weekend. Officials say transit service will be boosted as a result. The TTC is keeping up its enhanced subway and streetcar service, connecting riders to Fort York and the Bentway. And then tonight, subway service will run later than usual to accommodate increased ridership, thanks to all the festivities and festivals taking place. As always, you can check the TTC's website for any changes or service disruptions. We're also still in a special service period for GO Transit, with added service to get people to FanFest and other events. That includes more trips on several lines. At the same time, Metrolinx is reminding passengers that some trips could be canceled or delayed by 10 to 15 minutes due to the ongoing heat warning. Trains are required to run at slower speeds for safety reasons.
A few days after it got underway, this also marks the first weekend of the Toronto Fringe Festival. Running since 1989, the Toronto Fringe Festival showcases independent theatre and performance, with 123 shows taking over 27 venues across the city. There's also dedicated entertainment for kids and families and free community events. You can check out the full listing of events and shows at fringetoronto.com. The festival runs through July 12th. This is also the first weekend of the Beaches Jazz Festival at Jimmy Simpson Park. The annual event features 4 consecutive weekends of free music, all leading up to a 3-day street festival along Queen Street East at the end of the month.
The city is responding to criticism over a temporary closure of a wading pool during this week's heat wave.
I'm at a water park on Canada Day, a City of Toronto water park, and it's 35 degrees. We have waited for this wading pool to be filled. It took about an hour. And then when they announced that they were going to open up the wading pool, they actually turned around, the staff, and said that the pool was closed because it's too hot for them to work.
CTV News asked the city about the staffing situation, which follows challenges keeping some pools open during a heat wave last year. We got this statement in response, saying in part, on July 1st, 3 wading pools experienced a short delay around 3:30 p.m. during routine water refreshes to allow staff to take a short cooling break. There were no system-wide impacts or early closures. The city has protocols in place to protect staff working in extreme heat, including work-rest rotations, hydration, access to shade and cooling spaces, and wellness checks. As humidex values increase, longer rest periods may be required.
New data from the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board shows the GTA saw higher home sales last month compared to a year ago, even as new listings slowed.
We've seen the actual number of listings that people have put on our system trend lower over the last year, and what that's had the effect of doing is tightening the market. So there's a little bit more competition between buyers now, and that's starting to provide some support for pricing. And so while price is down on a year-over-year basis, if you account for the time of year and look at the month-over-month change, it's actually starting to level out. And so what that means, I think, is more buyers who are still on the sidelines right now are starting to say, you know what, we may be reaching the bottom in terms of pricing, and that may be a signal as we move into the second half of this year for more buyers to move into the marketplace to take advantage of that affordability.
More than 6,700 homes changed hands in June, representing a 9.4% increase in activity year over year. Meanwhile, sales rose 1.4% from May on a seasonally adjusted basis. Treb says the average selling price rose nearly 4% compared to last year, to just under $1,059,000. There were more than 17,000 new listings in June, down 13% compared to last year.
Still to come on CTV News at noon, what a time to be a sports fan in Toronto. We'll have more on the reaction to everything that's been happening in our city. Sam East is next.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Despite the end of all the Toronto World Cup matches, it is a great time to be a sports fan in this city.
Indeed, Toronto's been a hub of activity through the early summer, and it appears that's set to continue. Sam East, host with 99.9 Virgin Radio, joins us live now for our regular weekly segment, Chronically Online. And Sam, Toronto fans, they've been eating good lately. What does that mean?
I mean, there's a lot to go around for just about everyone right now. And I think this clip that's gone a little viral really sums it up here. It kind of top lines all the events that have been happening over the past, week or so, of course, from FIFA, #1. That's been taken over. That game yesterday between Croatia and Portugal says, what a week to be a Toronto sports fan. Cristiano Ronaldo and Luka Modric in town. Kawhi Leonard back to the Raptors. Gavin McKenna, #1 draft pick for the Leafs. Bo Bichette back at Rogers Centre. Canada in the World Cup round of 16. That about sums it up. I mean, there's a lot to go around for everyone. The match yesterday, Croatia, Portugal, we have so many fans here from both sides that were celebrating. And I was watching in Liberty Village, and I got the full spectrum of emotions here from the Portugal fans who were overjoyed, of course, with how things turned out, to the slightly sadder Croatia fans who needed some consoling. That was the scene there at Liberty Village. But it was a great vibe to be around, no doubt, no matter what the outcome was. And then moving on to the Raptors. Yes, it is happening. We were speculating last week that it was happening for Kawhi Leonard, and it is official now. And with that, this clip has once again gone viral from 2018.
What would you like people to know about you?
I'm a fun guy. Obviously, I love the game of basketball. I mean, it's just more questions you have to ask me in order for me to tell you about myself. I just can't give you a whole spiel. I don't even know where you're sitting at.
Oh, that laugh that has gone viral, has been memed, is back yet again. And I mean, it's an exciting time. Lots of chatter for sure online, differing opinions here, but nonetheless, Toronto sports fans, it's a good time to be us.
Oh, it sure is. You know what? Nathan was saying the same thing. It's just been so much fun. And there's something else happening, not in Toronto, though, but a lot of people are talking about this all around the world. Some are calling it America's royal wedding. Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, they're set to tie the knot. This is the weekend. What more can you tell us about this event? Like, what's actually confirmed here?
Listen, we don't even really know at this point, Michelle, because there's been so much speculation. But that said, there's been some leaked police memos from the NYPD over in New York. Madison Square Garden is reportedly where this wedding is taking place, where Travis and Taylor have reportedly spent $20 million. Now, the speculation is they've already gotten married on the 26th of June. That's the speculation. And this is just the big party after the fact, with up to 1,000 guests in attendance. And it's going to be a big party. I don't know how they're going to be able to make the rounds. Like that sounds like a lot of people to entertain, but nonetheless, it's an all hands on deck situation. Swifties have descended upon New York to maybe try and catch a glimpse of the bride and groom, but it's quite the spectacle.
Yeah, how do you possibly make the rounds? It makes you wonder, they're so wealthy, they're so crazy rich. Could this be all a decoy? You just spend 20 mil, book the venue, but then do it somewhere else? Or is that...
Honestly, that has been the thought all along, right? Because Madison Square Garden, a lot of Swifties have said, it lacks that typical Taylor Swift whimsy that one might assume she would have. But, I mean, knowing her, there's a lot of strategy that goes into everything she does. I'm assuming, a lot of people are assuming, that there's a whole kind of reno happening at MSG right now to fit that aesthetic that she would normally have.
But they also made a pretty big donation to charity as well.
Yes, Taylor Swift fans have noted that she and Travis made a donation of $26 million. 26 divided by 2 is 13, which is Taylor Swift's favorite number.
Oh, I did not know
The Taylor
that.
Swift fans, man, they notice everything down to the last decimal point.
Sports and entertainment, everybody's eating good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Remember, you can hear Sam between 2 and 5 on weekdays on 99 Virgin Radio. Sam, have a nice weekend.
You too.
Until next time, you're watching CTV News at noon. Live shot from the Hotel X Skyline Cam, Toronto Stadium being turned back to BMO Field. Stay with us. There's more to come. Finally, this afternoon, Ronaldo and Messi have nothing to worry about.
But some robotic soccer players are showing off some skills during the World Cup. The machines are competing in South Korea in what's called the Robo Cup. They've been programmed by 300 teams of engineers, students, and researchers from 45 countries, all taking part in the world's largest robotics competition. But the soccer machines aren't a match for humans just yet, with lots of falls on the pitch, and they're moving kind of slowly. But they still don't fake injury when they go down. They get up and start playing again. So they've got a lot to learn.
Just watching that thing stand up from like the back row was
the goalie
weird.
Started on the ground.
I'm just saying, it's like the one where it was doing like the robot was doing like a Michael Jackson dance and fell on the stage. It's like that video where I'm like, it's just a no for me. But they tried their best, and that's what counts. Robots or people, if you're spending time outside today, it is going to be very warm. So make sure you are hydrated. If you're spending any time outside, remain under the heat warning. So as you spend your afternoon outside, I know there's still tons of watch parties. Just make sure you're checking in on yourself and other people around you. Heat exhaustion and heat stroke can happen very quickly. Temperature-wise, we are well into the 30s as we make our way into this midpoint of our day, feeling into the 40s. Again, this heat dome event really starts to taper off heading into the second half of the day tomorrow, but we still have to get through our whole Friday, and it'll be hot for the Canada game if you're spending time outdoors. If you're going to the cottage, there's a slight chance of some pop-up showers again with all the heat and humidity, but a much easier forecast to spend some time outside. As you head throughout your weekend, again, this chance of spotty showers into the first half of the day on Saturday. After that, finally some relief from the really, really heavy heat. And into Sunday, although not a brilliantly sunny day the whole time, we do have a much more seasonal forecast. And looking ahead to next week, sunshine Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll take it. But we get warm again heading into the end of next week. So as you plan your days, just be careful, but enjoy the summer, right? We all wait for this time of year all winter long, and winter is so long. So enjoy it while you can. Michelle,
that's why I'm not complaining. Thank you, Jess. And that is it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day.